Not getting any. All right, we will start without the music. Go ahead and kick it off, Adam.
What's up, XFF? Chicago Adam here with Baltimore Sean.
Good morning. Welcome to the playoffs.
That's right. Flicking MacHugh show. What is this, episode 12?
I believe so, yeah. My count is correct.
Yeah, been going strong all year. Every Sunday morning. I think we missed 1 week.
Yeah, just missed 1 week. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, 12. We did one per week, yeah. Around week 13. So, yeah, it's been lots of fun. I think my background's been getting a little bit more messed up as we go, but still going strong.
Yeah. My Wi-Fi screwed up. I took my Wi-Fi off, so I'm running off of the Verizon network.
We're missing your Halloween costume. That was fun.
You know, I should have broke that out. That would have been appropriate. A lot of crybabies, people crying this week, not being able to sit their line up.
Hey, I'm at the head of the list for crybabies.
Yeah, well, let's get into that, I guess. We started out last week with a triple header, and you were feeling pretty comfortable. You were going to take that number 2 seed and get a bye, which you desperately needed. What happened there?
Well, my team scored 333 points, and I had this debate with Philly John a month or two back, and we're talking about, what's worse, going above 300 and losing, or losing by a lot. And I'm like, well, it depends on when it happens, because if you lose by if you score over 300 points and you lose in week 1, week 2, week 3, you know what? You've got a good team, so you have that to fall back on. But if you lose by, I lost by 0.44 points after a point adjustment. I was up by 0.06, and that would have made me 3-0. Would have given me the 2 seed. Point adjustments came in on Thursday morning, and there you go. I was down by 0.44, and nothing I can do about that. So bump me from a 2 seed to a 3 seed. That's my crybaby line for the week. But I figured I might as well go in and give you some analysis on the top 5 reasons why I did not get a 2 seed. And by the way, I'm not only looking at my game against the Bengals, but I was watching the Titans and Colts game, and they had a really close tight. I think Titans won by about 4 points, so that was really close.
Going into the week, you were tied with Titans on the record, right?
Yeah, I was tied with Titans, and I was gonna, beat them on points.
How far ahead were you on points? Do you remember?
It was like 80, something like that, 60, 80. So it was a pretty solid, pretty good enough number that at least I knew if I had 300 points, I was pretty comfortable with that.
So you didn't play him, so it would have skipped head to head and would have went to points.
Exactly. So it would have all been about points if I could keep that tie. And I'd lost the first 2 games. I scored like 222 points in the first weekend for the first 2 games, and so that was I was able to win every time, every game, up until this last game. I think that the Bengals have they had some big performances. They had a week where they scored 387 points. I mean, they had some guys that could run up some points, but weren't quite ready for they ended up 500. I think they actually ended up 9-7 since they got the win on this. But anyway, so I've got kind of top 5 things because I'm watching the Colts game and the Colts versus Titans, and the Colts they had a bunch of guys left to play in the Sunday later group of games, and mid-afternoon games for the East Coast side. And I was like, I was like, Matt, you got to come on, man. If you can beat the Titans, and I thought there was a chance I could lose to the Bengals because he had a lot of guys left to play, and so I knew I was in trouble. I think he had 5 guys playing on Monday, most of them defense, but kind of a mix. Like he had a coach, he had an offensive, actually the offense for the Eagles and some other stuff. So I knew that even though I had Rodgers and I had McLeod, it was going to be close. But here's my top 5. So
all right,
picture this. I'm watching the Titans and Tennessee matchup, and I'm watching the Panthers-Raiders. Panthers-Raiders, I think? Yeah, Panthers-Raiders game. I think it was Panthers-Raiders. And I'm like watching it, and I'm like, for me, I'm playing the Browns, so I'm kind of watching that a little bit too because he was doing pretty well at that point. And touchdown pass. Cam Newton throws a touchdown pass. I know Cam Newton's on the Colts, and so I'm like, cool that he's making up some ground. And I'm looking at the total. I'm like refreshing. I'm like, he's not making up any ground. What happened? So I look on there, and I'm like, oh, touchdown went to Teddy Ginn. Guess who has Teddy Ginn? The Tennessee Titans. He's my number 5. Now, he scored 24.8 points, and that's not a huge game. He hasn't really scored. He had a couple of games where he scored 20-plus points. But I think he gets some of that maybe in punt return, what have you. But it was just the fact that in my head I'm thinking, oh, that's a good thing. Benjamin's on the Browns. I don't have to worry about the Browns in that particular touchdown. It's helping the Colts. Lo and behold, Teddy Ginn's my number 5. They get more interesting, by the way, but that was kind of my like,
yeah. I mean, that's what you have to deal with in
yeah,
fantasy.
Exactly. And then number 4. So we're looking at the Saints in the Rams game, and I don't know about you. I have Rams on a couple defenses in some other leagues, and I started the Rams defense thinking, oh, they're going to score a bunch of points against the Saints. They're going to get some sacks. They're going to get some interceptions maybe. The Rams offense will be a lot better against the Saints defense, although the defense has been a lot better lately. And the Saints just rung it up on the Rams. This passing touchdown after passing touchdown. They had, I think, Snead threw a touchdown pass. So that game was nuts. And I was thinking about from the running back side, and I was playing against Mark Ingram. And I'm like, oh, wow, I saw these passing touchdowns, and I'm like, cool. I'm like, I was thinking, we got Ingram and Hightower. They're both, getting time. Ingram's not going to go above, 40 points or above 35, which would be obviously a really good game. Boom, he gets 46.6 points. And, that was huge. But that was for, that was the Bengals had Ingram. So, take away, if he had 46 points, I would have won. So, Crybaby number 4 on my top 5 list. Not crazy that he scored 46 points, but the fact that he wasn't getting a lot of time to run the ball, I mean, he's certainly able to do it, but the fact that they're playing Hightower a lot, I didn't think Ingram would be able to do that. So that one sucked. So then number 3, so going back to the Titans-Colts matchup, he's got, Titans are starting Colin Kaepernick, and I'm like, okay, that, he's going to score some points. He runs the ball, what have you. I think he ran for over 100 yards, something like that. Ended up with 57 points. He scores, Titans won by 4 points and got capped for 57. That's definitely something that's not going to happen every day. So that's my number 3. That one hurt a lot, especially since I know a lot of those points happen in the fourth quarter when they're on their comeback, especially because I'm a 49ers fan and I'm a Dolphins fan, and they're playing each other. And just, a few yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, whatever, 3 yards, I guess, 2 yards. I would have won without it. So that was obviously a close one. Then probably this would be my favorite, except I found the last one. So number 2, and you enjoyed this one, Mr. JPP with almost 55 points. I wouldn't think in my mind, I'm like, hey, what if he just had a crazy, ridiculous 35? That would have been fine for me. He goes for 55. And that was,
hey, it's better than the what he was slated at like 63, or which would have been the highest scoring.
Yeah, they had like 60, 63, and they must have made some adjustments because I think that
he had an interception on there or something. Yeah, I think it got changed or.
Yeah, because I guess they ended up calling it a fumble because Kessler threw the pass. He was trying to, and the ball got knocked out, so they ended up calling it a fumble, I guess. But he basically caught the fumble and ran for a touchdown. It's
kind of crazy. I missed all of that. I didn't get to see any football except for the Sunday night game last week.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I went on YouTube because when these point adjustments, I knew that I was up by 0.06. And during the week, I'm like, I got to go see all his plays, see if there's any room for, so someone had a video of all the plays that he made, all the sacks and all that. He had 3 sacks, fumble recovery, all that stuff. And so I go back and they had the whole video, and I'm like watching like when he caught the fumble, and I was like, oh yeah, he probably could have gotten an extra yard off of that return. So I was trying to validate some of the big plays to see if something might get reduced. So that was my number 2. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll touch on my stuff later.
So the next one, this is my number 1. This is the one that I don't know if anyone's seen this before in fantasy. Certainly the fact that we play punter is pretty rare in our league. I've never played with a punter before. So I've got Sam Koch, if that's how you pronounce his name, for the Ravens, punter. I mean, the guy is a really good punter. I mean, I was watching his points, right? Every time he gets it inside the 20, he gets another 2 points. He's got a little bit for each punt. His average is in the 40s range. He was up to like 14, 15 points, something like that, 16 points. And then all of a sudden, the game is almost over, and he loses 4 points. And I'm thinking in my head, and I haven't had a chance to look, and I'm like, how the heck did he lose 4 points? His average, as far as I could tell, his average is fine. Like maybe he did a stub punt or something. Like I didn't see the end of the game. And so then I go back and look, and people were talking about this, like whatever the Ravens did at the end of the game to on the clock. And I saw the safety happen where, the Bengals got a safety against them. I'm like, what happened? So, the Ravens have the ball on the 23-yard line, their own 23. And, many people probably saw this afterwards, but they basically said, okay, we're going to run the clock out. The punter's going to take the ball. He's going to stand there. All the Ravens, the line for the Ravens, they're all holding Bengals players because all they're trying to do is run the clock, and they're just going to take the penalty, but they're going to run the clock out so the game will be over because the game can end on an offensive penalty. So I believe. So he's holding it. It's holding it. Everyone's getting held. If you ever see this video, everyone on the Bengals is getting held, like literally just like manhandled, right? And completely illegal. And so Koch's got it. He's waiting. He's watching the clock, Then the clock goes to 0, and he's able to run out of bounds like for a safety, and the game is over. And I'm like, and so that's it. He got negative 23 yards rushing. And so I ended up losing 4.4 points because he gets an extra 0.2 for the rushing attempt, right? I was like, that is going to be the difference, and it ended up being the difference. That's the one that was the killer for me.
So, I missed all that. Well, what was the point of Baltimore running that play, I guess?
Well, they were just trying to run the clock out. There was like, 20, less than 20 seconds or somewhere in that range of clock left. So they knew that, and they were up by 7. So they knew that, if they run the clock out, the game's over. Even if they give up the safety, it's over. And normally, so like they're kind of utilizing the fact that there's no like, generally speaking, at the end of a game, if the offense, commits a penalty, usually it's the offense trying to drive to get to score, whatever. In this case, it was the opposite. The offense is doing a penalty. Whereas if it was a defensive penalty, the clock could be at 0, but they'd be able to still get one more play off. In this case, they're like, okay, we can run it off, run out of bounds. And so there you go. There's my fantasy loss right there.
Yeah, that's a tough loss. So now you got to play. Again, you play the Browns. I think it's gonna be a good matchup.
Yeah,
and you were kind of in desperate need of a bye because you got some key players that
Jamie
you're not
Collins
have today.
Yeah, so Jamie Collins is on a bye. Kind of offsets Kirksey on the Browns. He's on a bye for but he's deeper on linebackers than I am. I'm doing the 3 safety thing this week now. I have Delaney Walker. That one hurts just as much. So I don't have Delaney Walker this week. He's on a bye. And then my defensive tackle, he's on a bye, and he's been really solid. Shelton, he's been really good. So I ended up grabbing a guy off the wire because Jay Howard was on my team. He was put on IR, and the guy has replaced him the last couple of weeks. Has done really well. So I have him starting. So cross my fingers, but I'm gonna need some. I don't have. I'm down AJ Green already, so yeah, I could have definitely used that buy. But hopefully my guys can make up the difference.
Yeah, and there's not really much to talk about on my end for last week. I'm hoping I didn't blow my wad early. 395 points. I think that's good for second highest score this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, JPP and Matt combined for something like 100 points. Even if you took them away, it's still a respectable score of like 295. So
yeah,
I'm not definitely not expecting a 100-point output, but but the weeks before they both had 2 weeks ago they both had in the 30s. So
yeah. I was thinking like, hey, if JPP just had a Khalil Mack day, I mean, that would have been fun. Maybe
I'm
one
not
less
even
tackle.
sure. I'm not even sure who they all play this week. I haven't really paid attention.
Yeah.
Who is Oakland playing? Do you know? I can look that up here in a minute. But so yeah, here it is. We're wild card playoffs. You're playing Cleveland. I'm playing Nick with the Saints. You got the Lions versus the Panthers, which should be a good matchup.
Yeah, hoping we can get Dustin on here. See what he wants to say about your dad.
And we got the Colts and Dolphins. Let's touch on that game a little bit.
Sure.
Miami kind of underperforming this year. Didn't pull any trades at the deadline. What do you think about that game?
I mean, I think the Colts are gonna win. I mean, they've been able to score pretty solid points, for the last really last several weeks. Really, outside of the first 4 or 5 games, they've really come on strong at the end. And the Dolphins have had some injuries. They lost C.J. Anderson and some others, and so I think they're in trouble this week. I saw them make some moves yesterday, try to get some guys in there, but yeah, I think I think it'd be pretty comfortable saying the Colts will win that game. And if the Colts win, then they have obviously they'll play either the Titans again or Denver, but obviously depends on how the reseeding works.
Right.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think out of all the games this week, that's probably going to be the most one-sided. I mean, I could see a Colts win, maybe even by 50 points.
Yeah, and I will say this. I mean, the Dolphins have. I mean, they've had some injuries. Their defense is their strongest part of their team, but they've had some. I mean, if you look at the scores they've put up over the year, I mean, they're like it's almost like they're either like 350 or like 250 or something. They really had this huge swings that other teams didn't have as much, and so they are a team that is capable to pop a big number. I think anyone in the playoffs right now is able to pop a big number, but I think the Dolphins, they can definitely do it. It's just they've been inconsistent lately.
Yeah, and going to look at his roster here, he carried over a lot of the same guys that won that Super Bowl for him last year. Obviously, different owner. His quarterback, he's got either Bortles or Mariota. Not sure who they're playing this week, so I'm not sure who I would start there.
He's got to play Bortles because Mariota's on a bye.
Oh, Tennessee's on a bye, yeah. So yeah, he's kind of stuck. Jacksonville was playing somebody. Was it Denver? Yeah, Jacksonville was playing Denver.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a horrible matchup.
Well, Denver doesn't look as scary, but but yeah, I mean it's
Bortles. Come on.
Yeah, but the thing about Bortles is he gets down and then he scores a bunch of points in the fourth quarter. So a little bit obviously a lot tougher against Denver.
And then he's going to probably roll out Forte, Yeah, his running backs. I guess he might go with. Is McCoy playing?
Yeah, McCoy's playing.
Okay, so yeah, he played McCoy. Um, maybe James White. I don't know. So
Yeah,
then
I
you
mean
look at
James White.
his
Well,
wide receivers.
he's got. I mean, I assume he'll start Forte, McCoy, um, and then he'll probably start Denard Robinson because it looks like. I think it depends if T.J. Yeldon plays or not, but he may start Denard potentially, I guess.
Yeah, Ivory's out, right? So
Yeah, and then Devontae
I mean,
Adams, he's going to be a must start. Uh,
uh,
outside
his
of
wide
that,
receiver. Yeah, I mean his fifth guy. I mean, isn't very strong. That's going to be the key to this game right here.
yeah,
Who do you go with? I would probably go with Green Beckham. Eagles have a nice matchup.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think that's the right call, unless he's
um,
going to put Gates out there. But yeah,
he's got some decent defensive ends, and you look at his linebackers.
he's got Aaron Donald, defensive tackle. He's got a big advantage there. Um,
He's got his
Art
Preston
Jones,
Brown and
yeah.
Tahir Whitehead leading the way with KJ Wright.
I think Whitehead's out this week.
Oh, is
Uh,
he?
yeah, but KJ Wright for sure. I guess Merciless. Yeah, he looks like he's playing. He's got some, he's got some guys that can score some points. Cornerbacks, he's pretty solid there with Jenkins, and you can either he'll probably go with Sherman, I would guess.
So to me, that's just, I guess, him trading away Antonio Brown at the beginning of the season really, especially right now, he's missing that fifth wide receiver, and
Yeah,
I think it's gonna cost him. You look at Indy's starting lineup. He's gonna roll out Cam. Although against Seattle, I don't know. Would you give Wentz a look here?
I guess you got to go with Newton in this case. But yeah, I mean that's a tough matchup for Cam, and Cam's already kind of struggled a bit.
And you drop down, look at his running backs. He's got some solid running backs with Rawls now going to get all the carries there. Gurley, uh, and then his third would probably be
Kelly Gurley, and Gore and Rawls. So he's got three of those four.
yeah. I'm not sure who you would start over. I don't know who the Redskins are playing, but yeah, you might give Frank Gore a look here.
I think we might have lost Adam. Let's go to we've got a guest, Dustin. I think.
Hey,
How's it going, Dustin?
good. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, welcome to the playoffs. I know you worked hard to get where your team was. How you feeling about the week?
I'm not feeling especially great with my banged up team here. But especially looking at some of the Detroit Lion matchups he has this week against me with Stafford against New Orleans and Jordan against the 49ers. So he's got a couple of his key players with really good matchups.
Yeah, you're
as
playing
you
the
go.
Lions, so you're playing Adam's dad, Brian,
Yep.
and yeah, he had a. No, I think I think certainly have a chance from everything that I've seen. But yeah, I hear you. The injuries is rough. And you have any big buy guys?
Duke Johnson's the only guy I have on bye. But I wasn't really going to play him.
Yeah.
Joe Hayden's another guy I have on bye, but I probably wouldn't play him either.
Yeah.
Reed out. Gathers is out. So I think my biggest thing now is just I have a couple key decisions at linebacker, whether I'm going to start DeQuell Jackson or Derek Johnson. I mean, I've been leaning toward. I've been
Yeah.
starting both of them, and now with Houston back, I'm kind of making a decision between those two.
Yeah, have you heard anything recently on Houston? Because it looked like he was practicing early, but maybe they're just kind of giving him a little bit of break.
Yeah, I saw him on the field warming up today. Looks like he was looking good. He's good to go.
Oh, that's good. Okay, we got Adam back.
Oh, great.
But I think we'll continue here. We'll kind of do. So after Thursday's games, anything that concerns you about? I don't know if you had any guys plan.
It was a good Thursday. I had nobody going, and he had Sanjeho, who got 2 tackles or 3 tackles for 6 points. So the first play of the game, he had a tackle. I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of these nights, and then he only had 2 tackles the rest of the game. So I was pretty happy.
Yeah. Marvin Jones is inactive, everybody.
Interesting. Well, that helps me a little bit, I guess. Stafford has 1 less weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly helps when you play against a guy and you have nobody and they score 6. So, like in my head, I'm thinking, just don't want anyone. Well, obviously, I like people when they score 0 or 3 to 6 points, but certainly, not to have a guy go off on you and go like 25, and you're like, already kind of in the hole. So that's certainly a usually confidence booster.
Yeah, definitely. It helps. I think every time I watch one of his players get 6 points or post low numbers, it's gonna give my team more of a fighting chance.
Yeah, and his Hitchens had a good game, but he's been kind of up and down, so he missed out on that big one.
Yeah.
So you what would you say your chances of winning on a percentage basis?
I guess I give myself probably a 65% chance. I still think I'm going to win. I'm just not as confident as I would have been. I think it really depends on a couple of decisions. I'm going to be watching Watkins to see if Watkins is going to – I know he's going to play. I'm looking at either playing him or Blau Paul today, Monday night. So that's kind of one of my offensive decisions that I'm probably going to, see how things go in the first games. Watkins doesn't play till 4:05. So if I'm, if I'm solid, if I'm up, if I'm looking good, I might just play the safer play and go with Blau, knowing he's going to give me, at least 10 points. If I'm down and I need a lot of points, I might go with Watkins and hope he, has a couple big plays. So I'm giving myself a 65% chance, and I'm kind of hedging some of my decisions on how I look after the first games.
Yeah, so you got Lamar Miller, you got Mark Ingram in for sure, and you got I assume you got DT in.
Yep, I got Evans and Demaryius Thomas as my starting. There's my starting 4. I'm just, usually I'd be putting in Reed in my 5 hole there.
Yeah.
So now it kind of opens up that decision.
How is Bilal done? Let's see. Yeah, Bilal's been.
He's had a couple 23-point games.
Yeah.
In the last 4 weeks. He's been double digits the last 4 weeks in a row. So I mean, he's been getting out touched by Forte, but he's actually been out producing him every week. So I've kind of been waiting for that shift where they just say, okay, Blau, you're going to get more of the touches. I think he could do more with them. It's just so hard to tell. And then he could put out 4 points this week.
Yeah, and I think even even with Watkins, I think he had like a 60-yard catch and ended up with like 3 catches. But certainly he was first game back. But I think that seems like the right decision to me. Hey, Adam, any questions for Dustin on his matchup with your dad?
I missed what you guys are talking about here. I'm having problems, but no, I haven't really paid attention to the who you guys might be starting. I think it's going to be a close game. Obviously, I know you're hurt by some injuries. So yeah, I guess what are you predicting? What's the final score going to be, Dustin?
I've been averaging close to 300. I should put up around 300. I don't think I'll blow 300 away. I've noticed the Lions have been real up and down. I'm hoping they 70s and I win about 295 to 270, 275. If it's going to be a higher scoring game, I don't think I'm going to have the production this week. I'm hoping the scores stay low and I can just I can win it. Like I said, in the 200 range somehow.
All right, yeah. Again, I haven't looked at his who he might be starting and who they're playing. But again, yeah, he scored like 330 last week. And really, I felt he left some points on the table. So it'll be interesting. I think you'll both be around that 300. Maybe the second closest game of the week. I'm thinking the closest game is probably going to be the game.
Which one?
What do you guys think?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part, Adam.
No, am I breaking up or?
Yeah, go ahead and most of it's coming out, but I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, I said.
What matchup were you talking about?
The Cleveland-Baltimore. I said your matchup with the Lions, I think, will probably be the second closest this week, with the Cleveland-Baltimore being the closest.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm thinking mine will probably one of the closest ones too. I'm really interested in your matchup with the Saints. As you guys know, Saints have kind of been my rival all year for good reason. Since we share that NFC South division, and he somehow kind of squeaked in under the radar there, and now he goes against the Bears, and your team, who's really been carried from the defensive end position, which is kind of an odd thing. So
yeah, but wait, yeah, I mean that's what it looks like on paper. But if you take away all 100 points, even with 0 points coming from that position, I'm still getting 295. So.
Yeah, but 295, you lose to everybody. I mean, last week everybody was in the 300s.
Yeah, that's given the defense then 0 points. I mean,
no, I know. I'm just saying.
And my running backs had a down week. I mean, if you look at my running backs all across the board, they were all on, which probably going to happen again with Ajayi playing Baltimore and Spencer Ware playing Seattle.
Yeah, it just seems like some of your points early on in the season came from guys like Michaels that are no longer there, and Ware's kind of come back down to earth, and Ajayi's come back down to earth after 2 huge weeks. So like I said, my team's more geared on the offensive end. I think yours is more geared on the defensive end to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And offensive points are almost more predictable, which is why I kind of base my team that way. Tackles and interceptions are really, fluky to some degree. But no, I like your matchup. I think you do have a chance. You should win. I'm wondering to see if the Saints is rolling out Kenneth Dixon today. I know he's been talking about Kenneth Dixon, and I'm a big high believer in Kenneth Dixon personally. I just don't know how much involvement he's going to have today, or if he's 60-40, is that going to be enough? But I think that's going to be my closest matchup, I guess, to answer your question, is you two. See how that plays out.
Okay.
But I'm rooting for you.
I hear you. So, well, I thought you were rooting for Saints. That way, let's see. If you win and the Saints win, you would play Dallas, right?
I mean, I got to play both teams regardless, so.
Yeah.
And really, yeah.
Really, it doesn't matter. You're going to play. You got to go through the.
I've got to beat them both. So whether I beat them this week or beat them next week or the week after, it's.
I guess you look ahead and look at some of the matchups they have. Maybe you look at it from that perspective. But yeah, you got to beat both of them. So.
I think it's more dependent on my team than their team. If your team comes out and performs, then it's. You have a good chance of winning. If your team lays down, then.
Yeah.
Like I did against the commissioner a few weeks ago. There's nothing. No matter how bad the team you're playing against is, if you don't put up points, you're not going to win.
Well, one thing that's kind of interesting, when I think about kind of way at the end for me, like in the, for any of us, so we can get to the Super Bowl, it's very interesting to play a team in the opposite conference. Like I played the Cowboys when I played the Cowboys during the year and I beat them. We had like at least a handful of guys that are the same. We both have David Johnson. We both have Devontae Freeman. And there's a point where I had a lead, and when you looked at the last handful of guys we each had, like we had like 3 of the same guys. So it was like I pretty much knew I was going to win because there was really no way for him to catch up, with the other guys. And if his big guys blew up, I had those big guys. So that's always kind of interesting to kind of think about, kind of those matchups when you're playing the opposite conference. You get some of those same players.
Yeah, the same thing happened when I played Denver. Me and him have Lamar Miller and a few different defensive guys that we shared.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I couldn't make up ground with my big talent, and he was too deep to overcome.
The thing watching the matchup. So last week I had a ton of guys going in the 10 o'clock, or I say 10 o'clock. You guys probably say 1 o'clock games. So that's rough for me because if they don't play well, you don't have a lot of ground you can make up. I always like guys playing a little bit later. But obviously some of the night games and the Monday night games, Sunday games, sometimes they get a little fluky too. But, every time I saw, so I was going against the punter for Kansas City, right? And I'm watching that game on Sunday night. He keeps getting punts. He keeps inside the 20. Oh, that hurts. He scored like almost 18 points against me, and I'm dying over here. I'm like, Can I put that as my number 6? But it's a lot more many more reasons for people to whine about what happens in their matchups, and obviously in our league than any other league I've ever played in. So a lot more positions, a lot more weird things that can happen.
Well, especially the Monday night games when it's the only thing on and you're watching a punter,
Exactly. I've got a burning question, Dustin, and it's all because it's about my team. It looks like it snowed, or is at least crazy cold out in Green Bay, and I know you're a Green Bay fan. Any worries? Anything I should worry about with Aaron Rodgers and the cold and his hammy?
I wouldn't worry about it. I know Rodgers has been playing in the cold, and he's been successful in the cold. I know a lot of different quarterbacks aren't as good in the cold. But, they've got the greatest heated benches. They're going to keep that thing warm.
Yeah.
They've got the little tent they can build. He can go sit in there if he needs to stretch it out and pat it.
The mysterious tent.
Yes, I mean, Green Bay, it's so warm off the field and the coats they have, and it wouldn't be a concern for me. I think Rodgers came out, before last week's game and said we need to run the table, and we're going to run the table. And he's been sure playing like it, since he's made that announcement.
Yeah, and how do you think about Tyrod? You're starting Tyrod this week?
Yep, rolling Tyrod out there against the Raiders, who I love the matchup. The Raiders can't seem to get off the field, and defensively, without Khalil Mack making a sack. So I think, the way that they score quickly, there's going to be a lot of possession for Tyrod. He's going to have to do a lot of ad-libbing with his feet. And he seems to be, fairly healthy at this point.
Yeah, those are my 2 quarterbacks, Rodgers and Tyrod, but I got to go with Rodgers. So got to go with my big man.
I would too.
Yeah. So let me just say my number 7 on my whining list, I know you guys are loving this list, would be that Aaron Rodgers, since he got hurt, not that he didn't score some points, but they obviously played very conservatively, with his injury, a lot more than normal. And he didn't run the ball at all. And I'm pretty sure that was a difference for me as well. But sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he as soon as they got the lead, he stopped running the ball. Yeah, I mean,
and they played the right way. Yeah, they played that the right way. They're ahead. Like, no reason to do anything crazy. I mean, certainly the big first down they got before they got the field goal, that was huge. And it helped me too. To get that for him to get that pass in there. If they would have scored a touchdown, I would have won because I was going against the Eagles head coach, and so he would have had less points for the difference. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to complain, but there's definitely could have gotten a little bit more out of that.
Yes. A side note on that, I had Crosby the kicker. And by them getting that first down and kicking the field goal, I won by like a point in my other league. So I was like, "There's no way I'm going to win. They're just going to punt the ball, and then they got the penalty." And I'm like, "For it, now I have a chance." I have Rodgers and Crosby. So
and kickers are huge in this. I mean, I really, and then one reason why I had a chance last week was I got 20 points from from what's the Ravens kicker.
Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker.
Yeah, he's a
and
stud.
he's I'm paying him a lot of money, like $3.2 million.
So are the Ravens.
Worth every penny right now.
So I got some matchup questions here. I'm really struggling on the offensive side of the ball as far as this week's matchups. You know, I'm gonna start Ajayi against Baltimore. I mean, it's just a must start there.
Yeah.
Spencer Ware against Atlanta is my best looking matchup. So we got those two. Then I'm struggling with the J Stu against Seattle in Seattle. Tonight's game.
Yeah.
That or Frank Gore against the Jets again. Matchup.
I'd go with Gore in that situation. Feel a lot better.
I mean, the only thing I would say on the defense of the John Stewart play is that he's really come out and become the goal line back.
Yeah.
You know, I think in years past he hasn't been the goal line back. He's been, kind of the third option at the goal line. So it's just kind of more of a gamble. Is Cam Newton going to do kind of what Winston did last week and move the ball against Seattle at least early on and give Stewart a couple chances to punch it in, versus the yardage. This league's more of a yardage based.
Yeah.
So you might be safer with Gore on a yardage standpoint, but I think
they got those three running backs.
I just feel like going against Seattle, that's my biggest challenge. And I think they're so good at the goal line that I think Cam's probably going to be trying to, going to be taking it in more often than not if that happens. So that's kind of my thing. They've been, really, the Panthers have been struggling at the goal line area. I was watching them last week, but yeah, I hear you. I just think against Seattle, it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, tough sledding.
Yeah, I'd go with Gore. Go with the man. I know he didn't help you last week, but against the Jets, their offense is kind of so-so. It's going to mean their defense is going to be on the field a lot more on the Jets side. So I think you got a good opportunity there. Lots of chances for pass interference, penalties, ball in the one, Frank Gore taking it in. That's your better matchup.
Yeah, I would agree.
What about wide receiver? Is he still Adam? Oh, he's frozen again. I figured he was frozen. I was looking at my web instead of the. But yeah, I think at wide receiver, he's got some. Well, I guess I should say outside of the running back position. I guess he's going with Emmanuel Sanders. Pretty good matchup there.
Paxton Lynch seems to like Sanders better than DT, which concerns me. Him getting his start today.
And then Edelman, I think, certainly with Gronk out, Edelman's that much better. So I think for me, it's Edelman and Sanders on his non-running back part of the matchup.
What else does he have? He would have. You think he's going to start DGB? He's been talking about him like he's the next Jerry Rice lately.
But you can't start him over Edelman, and you can't start him over Sanders after what Sanders did last week.
No, it's hard to bench Sanders or Edelman for him, but I think the way that he's been talking.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, so I guess I'm right now I have 3 running backs going. I'm thinking about starting 2. Edelman and running backs out, and I'm trying to give Inman a look or Travis Benjamin. Bolden has a juicy matchup against the Saints. Either one of those guys could, go off and produce 20-plus points.
Adam, I'm going to tell you, you got to play Gore this week.
Dude.
Forget about last week.
Gore, Ajayi,
they're playing the Jets.
Where?
Think about it. They're playing the Jets. Revis sucks. He's going to
Luck is back. That's the thing. They're going to be throwing the ball 35 times.
Yeah, but I'm thinking there's going to be at least one pass interference goal line situation, at least one, if not happens on its naturally. So you got to go with Gore, especially when you get double the points for rushing yards.
Yeah, I'm trusting Gore over Inman and over Bowden and over Any of your other
Over every
guys?
wide receiver, I would take Gore over every wide receiver you've got. Although I'm very high on Edelman this week.
I would take Sanders. I would take Sanders over Gore, but that would be it. I mean, I like Edelman this week. I just think Bennett's been the goal line guy, and Edelman, they kind of know what they're going to do with Edelman now.
So Gore over Stewart. Gore is my number 5 option, is what you're saying.
Honestly, I think Gore is your number 3. I disagree that I would take Sanders over Gore, but yeah, 3-5, kind of the same thing at this point.
All right, I'm gonna trust you.
And what were your wide receivers you're going with? Because I was thinking when you were frozen, Edelman and Sanders.
Yeah, those are my guys. Some good matchups there.
Okay, gotcha. So you're thinking like maybe Benjamin over Gore.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other big matchups?
I mean, that's it. That's the only thing I was struggling with as far as my lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think. No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I've got one if you guys want to.
Yeah, sure.
I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I was debating on the whole Sammy Watkins thing, but the DeClell Jackson, since you're an Indianapolis Colts guy, against Derek Johnson would be one. And then my other one was whether I wanted to start if I could trust Michael Bennett out there today and take out Andre Branch, since Bennett's coming back from the injury.
You got any? Have you seen any stats on how linebackers do against the Jets? It seems like they might do fairly well. They
run it a lot.
Yeah.
And they're not throwing the ball down the field every damn place. So I would probably start DeQuill. I've been down on him all season, but I still think he's your best start there.
Yeah.
As far as Bennett, me personally, I have a hard time starting players coming back from injury. You just don't know what their snap count's going to be. You got to think it's going to be a limited snap count, and you also got to think, it's going to be a slower paced game, which tends to help defensive ends. But yeah, I don't know. I'd probably bench Bennett.
I feel like they're going against the Panthers, and the Panthers have given up a pretty good chunk of sacks. So I hear what you're saying, but I feel like I'd feel better about Bennett than Graham's had a really good year, maybe a little bit slower recently.
Probably leave Graham in there, but I'm thinking whether I want Andre Branch. He put up 21 last week, but 6, 14, 6, 7.
Yeah. Miami's playing the Ravens.
Shit.
What do you feel about the Ravens line? Branch has some good opportunities there.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to pound the rock. They're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
And as is, I guess Cincinnati with Hill, and Graham's going to be able to get off the ball on the Dalton.
What do you?
Has there been anything about Bennett's snap count? What it's going to be? Or
the last update was that he practiced in the last 3 straight games, or 3 straight practices during the week, and he's expected to play.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a tough
Seems
call.
Like he was supposed to come back, last week, and he didn't. So I think they maybe just gave him an extra week to make sure he's 100%. I don't know.
And maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe they're going to use him 100% against to make sure they get a W there against Carolina.
Yeah, resting them against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers end up beating them.
Yeah, this week is a huge game for Seattle. I look at it, I'm thinking, but that's a huge game for them, and that's obviously a huge game for the Panthers to try to get back into it.
Yeah, they basically knocked the Panthers out if they can beat them today.
Yeah. And I know they'd have fun doing that.
Oh shit! Roll with Bennett, Dustin. Put him out.
All right, I'm taking Branch out against the Ravens here.
So Dustin, your 4 linebackers, you're going with Barron, Bradham, Ingram.
No, Justin Houston.
Okay, Houston. Assuming, and you said he's on the field, and then Jackson Johnson. So you're going with Jackson. It sounds like, or it'll change your mind.
Linebackers here. I hate benching Ingram. I hate benching Johnson, but
yeah, no, I think you're okay in either situation. There, I don't think you'll lose a lot between the two. No, I don't have quite the linebacker core there. A couple of my guys are hurt, so I had to go for a third safety.
I'm short on safety. Wish I could trade for one.
Yeah, the trade. Yeah, the trading thing. Yeah, a couple different things I would have done for the trade deadline.
Yeah, I would have gotten another quarterback that wasn't hurt.
Yeah, that would have been an extra win. A little bit more relaxing last week with that extra win.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, I'm looking forward to it this week. I'm looking to get the W.
So, my matchup, I'm struggling outside of the running back core. So, I'm starting a couple of tight ends. We'll see how that goes, but it's going to be a close matchup with the Browns and I. It's going to be really tight. Agree with you on that, Adam. Hoping my big guys can have big games. Thursday, I started with I scored 30.5 points from Barry Church, who I was very happy to see back, and Sean Lee. Sean Lee started off a little bit quicker in the game, slowed up toward the end. So I was hoping I could get a 20 out of Lee, but it didn't quite happen. But I didn't get hurt or anything by my games, but I was hoping for a nice big fat game for the pair of them. But certainly happy to have Church back because I needed that third safety this week. So we'll see. Should be
that was a good start. So you're starting Kobe Fleener and who else? Walker? Or Walker's out, so you're starting.
I'm going with
Fleener and McDonald.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I can't start Pitta. Pitta's
untrustable.
Yeah, so that's what I'm left with. I mean, if I could, I hope I can get like 10 points from each, and I'd be really happy. I don't know if that is going to happen, but that's kind of where I'm at. And then I've got to have some big games for my running backs, but my team is where it is. I don't think AJ Green's going to be back for me this year, which is a bummer. I was hoping I could get him next week.
There's no reason for Cincinnati to bring him back.
Yeah. And it sounds like it was serious enough that, if he came back, it would be the last couple of weekends. And certainly I'd love to have him if I play that long, but probably not going to happen. So, if I can win this week and have Walker next week, I'll be in much better shape.
Have you given any consideration instead of starting like McDonald, starting Jalen Richard, or it seems like Coleman's healthy now.
Yeah, I'm starting. I am starting 3 running backs. I'm starting. Freeman, yeah, I'm starting Freeman, Coleman, and Johnson. But Jalen Richard's interesting because he's a guy who, he pretty much has scored about 15 points every week, except for maybe 1 or 2 in there, and he scores points in different ways. He returns punts, returns kicks. And so, he's a guy that, has a decent floor, considering the fact he's a backup running back. But, for now it's I got to go with Coleman because I figure if I go with Coleman and Freeman combo, Coleman's still getting me, double-digit points. And if, Coleman gets more of the touchdowns than Freeman, then it kind of balances it out. But it's not ideal, but I think it's the best situation for where I'm at.
Yeah, it's not bad. I had Jalen Richard, and I traded him in a deal, kind of a salary move more so than anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like his long-term perspectives because the way that he was used when Murray was out for a couple of weeks, like I expected him to get more of the load, and they just kind of leaned on. So it kind of made me nervous.
Yeah, I hear you. I think what's interesting though is when when they're all healthy, when Murray came back, like Washington's hasn't been getting as much play as he did earlier in the season. But Jalen. If you look at Jalen's stats, his average per carry I think is above 5 or close to it.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's had some big plays.
I think
he's probably
usage.
more the he's probably more the third down guy, in the future. But I don't know. We'll see. Definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a young, talented guy.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay, I think we're ready to wrap.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey,
Glad to
let's
have you
close
back.
on this. Let's close on this. Some NFL news. Cap says he's going to avoid his contract next year, which obviously isn't a sign. Isn't a lot of news that kind of came out earlier. But Rams signed Jeff Fisher to a 2-year extension today. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, fans are gonna be pissed. And they extended their GM at least a year or something like that. It's like, what? I thought I saw something a couple of weeks ago that he was on his way out, and then after last week, you'd think like, that would confirm that, but whatever.
I do not understand that. Whatever though. Anyways,
and he's all pissed at the whole Eric Dickerson thing, and it's like, oh god, man. It's like, come on.
I don't even know the full story, but I think Dickerson came on there criticizing Fisher or something, and Fisher denied him sideline passes when Dickerson had sideline passes to every other NFL team.
Yeah.
So, why should he not have a right to his opinion on? And really, everything backs up what he says. I mean, Fisher's a horrible, horrible coach. He's the most overrated coach in the NFL. I can't believe it's already been 5 years, but 5 years there with the Rams, and he's done nothing.
I mean, there's been some, like Sam Bradford got hurt like every year for his first 3 years, and there's been some things that have happened, but overall, if you go back to his Titans days, outside of a handful of years, I mean, he's a 500 coach or less, and move on.
It is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah.
So good luck today. I'm still struggling with this Gore thing. I don't know if I can pull the trigger. Mainly because you mentioned the goal line carries, but Gore's been losing goal line carries. He hasn't been getting the goal line carries, so I don't know.
I'd say you got to run with your Gore, and I'll be watching. I felt really bad. I think last week, I know you said you're playing Gore. I thought that was a good decision, but it was a rough game, and that game is not. Oh crap! That game is not. I thought it'd be very different than the Jets game today. So,
yeah. Well, good luck to all the teams.
Yep. Good luck, everybody. And we'll see you all. Yeah. See you all next week. Thanks, everybody.